What's going on, guys? This is Evan the Dark Souls enthusiast, bringing another Dark Souls gameplay commentary on the Xbox 360. Or no, I'm sorry, this is on the PlayStation 3. This is going to be another installment of my New Game Plus series where I take you guys through the Dark Souls game with very little editing, if any. There's already been a little bit, so I guess there's definitely going to be some editing. But in any case, in this video, a couple things you guys should expect. I'm going to respond to some comments the channel's received since my last video. There's been quite a few. I'm going to commentate on sort of the growth of the channel. I'm going to talk about where I want to take the channel. Sort of going to talk about a list of games that were influential for me as a gamer. And then we'll just see where the conversation takes me. I don't really have like an itinerary planned for this commentary. Nor do I have anything really pressing I want to talk about. But I did want to put out a commentary. I was in a commentating mood, so I brought it out. I've got some messages like, dude, where's the next video? As always, the answer remains unchanged. I put them out as I can. School's always going to come first for me, at least until I'm out of school, and then work will always come first for me. So, just keeping things in perspective. But we're about to go through Blighttown for the upteenth thousandth time, and probably my least favorite area to commentate. But I'll try to stay as upbeat as I can. It goes without saying, Blighttown is my least favorite area in the game, much like Valley of Defilement was my least favorite area in the game in Demon Souls, so that's kind of where we are. But without further ado, I'm going to start responding to a couple channel comments. Some of these responses may come off as rude or negative. That's not my intention. I just want to respond in the most authentic way I can. When I do these commentaries, I don't want to come off as someone I'm not, as I feel like I listen to some other commentators and I feel like they try to present a personality that might not really be them, but I assure you everything I see in these commentaries is 100% authentic. If you ever were wondering, I don't sort of have a second personality just for commentaries. Really, I don't think I know how to cultivate one, so what you hear is what you get. So if it starts to turn a little negative, that's just sincerity. Of course, I'm not going to react to everything that's said to me in a positive manner, nor am I going to try to justify everything I do. That's actually a retake of this commentary. I had done this once before and I realized I had spent 24 minutes trying to justify the things that I do. Oh, I'm interested in sharing my thought process. I don't think people who come here to be entertained necessarily want to hear me rant on and try to address every hater comment I've ever received, which is kind of what the last commentary degenerated into. So we're going to try not to do that this time and stay focused on some other things, so let's get started. First off, addressing what seems to be the most common criticism on my channel. Ego, Evan, Guy, you mispronounce things a lot. Yeah, I do. I misenunciate, I mispronounce. Pretty much any violation of grammar you can think of, I probably committed on this channel. I try to present myself as I am, or at least as I want to be. That's always a conversation. Who are you really versus who do you want to be? Not always the same thing. But, I want to be someone that's well-spoken. I want to be someone that delivers, good quality content that doesn't sound like a buffoon on here, but, I think I think the quality of the commentary I bring to the channel is adequate for the time I put into it and for, what I can give you. Like, the way I do these aren't live, of course. So I would definitely have time and the capability to correct mispronunciations and things like that. But it's not something I'm interested in doing. Due to the time commitments associated with it, I'd rather take that time to play more video games or put out another commentary. I've always said I try to emphasize quality over quantity in the channel, and I still do. I'm not getting paid for this, so I'm not really obligated to put out 3 videos or even a video a day. I'm not really obligated to put out any quota to maintain my profit margin, which is great. But at the same time, without that motivation, sometimes we're going to have big breaks where I don't upload, and more to the point, sometimes I'm just going to take the time to fix things and sometimes I'm not. How and why I upload videos is something I'm happy to talk about, but it's not really something I'm willing to change. I encourage constructive criticism, and I know a lot of people have said, you're mispronouncing certain characters' names. You're mispronouncing Brotair's name. You're mispronouncing some of the German two-handed weapons. You're right. I am. Absolutely. And I'm sorry, but, I still stand by the content I put out as being good. And, as much as you correct me, it's probably unlikely I'll ever fix it, because I don't really say Zewandier, or however it's pronounced. I'm sure you will correct me in the comments. However it's pronounced, I don't use it outside of this gameplay commentary. It's not really a word that I would use for anything but a video game. So it's likely I'll mispronounce it every time, because it's how I've learned to say it and how I'll continue to say it. Is that good? No. But it's not so bad that I'm really going to take that feedback into consideration. I'm sorry. If mispronunciation of certain weapons or character names is just a deal breaker for you, might want to get out while you can, because it's probably going to continue as long as the channel exists. So that's about the most authentic reaction I can give to that. You know, I'm not angry. It's not like this has offended me or made me question my YouTube channel or maybe question my fan base. No, none of that. I'm just saying that that's going to continue, and while I appreciate the heads up, I will probably never pronounce it correctly, because I am not smart. Or at least I'm not motivated to pronounce everything correctly, or to edit these commentaries. You know, if I screw up really bad, I'll definitely go back and fix things, but usually, once again, and sort of for the sake of being authentic and for the sake of time, it's a double-edged consideration. I sort of am willing to forgive myself for certain mistakes just in order to not have to do a lot of retakes and things like that, because, you know, I'm not really a public speaker. I'm not a gifted public speaker. I don't speak in public a lot. Usually feel a little awkward, introverted personality, etc. You can't really remake an introvert into an extrovert. And I'm surely not interested in pretending to be an extrovert. So this is not public speaking, but it is sort of speaking to an audience that you can't see, and I clearly love it, otherwise I wouldn't be doing it. But at the same time, not going to worry about every error that occurs. So that was a long-winded explanation for why pronunciation doesn't really bother me. Okay, next, responding to comments. I know when the channel first started, I responded to every single comment. That was great. And I still do respond to comments whenever I can. But now the comments are becoming more frequent, which is a good sign, because that's what I wanted. I wanted to grow the community, but I can't be the only guy responding to comments. Not to say I am. A lot of people are having conversations on the channel and the videos. That's fantastic. Let's keep it up. But I don't really have the time or, I guess, the patience to moderate it. If I see a comment that particularly offends me, you know, there's a chance I may delete it. I'm not really going to go into the criteria I use to justify the deletion of a comment. I delete very few. I probably have deleted 10 comments in all of my videos. And I leave it up to the viewers to sort of thumbs up and thumbs down, positive or negative comments, to sort of moderate themselves. So, now with that said, if I happen to be on the channel looking through a couple comments and some downtime at work or whatever, and I see somebody like really getting personal in their insults, like raging on somebody, like, yeah, then I might delete the comments. Or if someone's coming on all my videos just rage posting about how I suck at life, I may block them from the channel, just because, you know, if you don't want to be part of this community, you don't have to be. And if I don't want you to be part of this community, you won't be. Because I put a lot of time and energy into this, and with that I get some ownership of it, and that it's fair for me to say, just like any other YouTube uploader, it's fair for them to say, like, you know, I took the time to upload this, I'm interested in feedback, and your feedback is not useful to me, and I don't want you around. Most YouTube uploaders will do that. I've done that on occasion. I think I've blocked 2 people, so tiny fractions of people actually get blocked, but, you know, I like to keep the troll count as low as I can, and considering how little attention I pay to that, you have to be trolling pretty hard for me to even take notice of you. So, with that said, on occasion, people may get blocked. Once again, just being authentic. I would be lying if I said I'm above anger. This is sort of my last criticism I want to address, because I don't want to take up the whole video talking to all the haterade comments, but I do want to talk about this one. Some really interesting comments or private messages I've received, such as like, wow, you seem like such a nice guy in your commentaries, but in gameplay, you know, you'll backstab AFKers, or you'll camp in corners on Call of Duty, and you'll do all these horrible, horrible things. You're not a nice guy. Okay, the way I play video games and the way I commentate, they are what they are. I don't know how to be more clear than that, and it's to say, I understand where you're coming from, where, you know, I may not be the nicest gamer all the time, but at the same time, I'm not the guy who's going around bottomless box glitching items over to new characters, that way I can pound on people in the burgs. Like, that's not me either. My point is, you know, taking a moment there to slow down my commentary, consider what I'm saying. I, like any video gamer, will occasionally grief other players. You know, I'd be hard-pressed to find anyone in the gaming community that hasn't griefed someone from time to time, and just because I commentate video games does not mean I'm above reproach, and it does not mean that I never do crappy things to other players. And I thought that kind of went without saying, but some of the comments sort of suggested as though, you know, all the time I should be super nice on every video game I play, and that, you know, what the heck, you're backstabbing AFKers and you're lag stabbing and all this awful stuff. Like, yeah, sometimes I do things like that. I definitely don't go out of my way to grief other players. Not typically anyway, maybe on occasion, very rarely. But if that happens to sneak into a video, you know, feel free to downrate it, comment on it, whatever. But at the same time, I don't feel bad about it. Like, criticizing the gameplay is one thing. Making it an ethical conversation about my character, that's a little bit of a reach. I think at that point, we're all taking video games just a little too seriously. And this is not going... You know, me backstabbing an AFKer is not going to dramatically affect their life. And if it does, that's more of a statement about them than me. And that's just kind of where I stand about the whole thing. So, let's move on. Next I want to talk about games that have been influential in my life, and this could be a really long conversation because I really like video games, but I guess there's a difference between enjoyment and actually influencing you. So in the games I can think of that influenced or changed my life, I would say, and the reason I'm talking about this is A, because I want to, and B, because it was private message to me, and it sounded like a fun thing to respond to. I would say, you know, Xenogears, of course, is my all-time favorite game. The game had excellent writing and deep philosophical undertones, and philosophy is something I'm very interested in, as is ethics, so it was great to both of those strongly integrate into a game with a intense, conspiracy-oriented sci-fi plot. So, yeah, Xenogears definitely is the kind of game that I probably think about once a week and think about fondly, and I think that in a lot of ways I wouldn't say it shifted my personality, that would be a huge exaggeration, but I do think in a lot of ways playing that game made me consider a lot of things that I hadn't, which might sound sort of, I guess, pathetic in its own way, but I'm a gamer and I stand by that. So definitely Xenogears largely influenced my gaming. It certainly influenced what I look for in a video game. You know, playing Xenogears kind of took me away from graphics and intensity horror to like sort of a gameplay slash, you know, story horror. So at this point in my life, you know, I played so many different games like most gamers that I've got a lot of appreciation for pretty much any genre of game beyond sports and racing. So it just definitely made me reconsider what makes a game good. Because, you know, before it was all about the graphics. And then I started to realize that I was more interested in a complete package of a game. Next up, I would say, is probably Dark Souls at number 2. Dark Souls made me dramatically reevaluate games because it showed me that, you know, in a way it showed me single-player games weren't dead. Dark Souls isn't strictly single-player, but what I mean is the game stands mostly as a single-player entity. You can play without the multiplayer and I think still get the vast majority of the content unaltered and undamaged. And that's great because, you know, I've been playing Call of Duty almost non-stop since Modern Warfare 2, and it's good for me to reevaluate what makes a game good once again. Dark Souls has impacted me enough that now I know I'm never just going to become sort of part of that mass consumerism in the gaming industry where I'm going to buy every mass-produced Activision game that relies on the community to provide replay value. Don't get me wrong, a good multiplayer platform is fantastic, but at the same time, I think a lot of games that go through development really aren't good games. They're just, the community is large. Like, say the Call of Duty series. I like Call of Duty. I do. I've commentated a lot, and I still play it from time to time. And, and I like shooters and stuff, but I feel like a lot of those games are not well balanced, not well designed, poorly coded, but the gameplay is addicting and the community is strong, so it provides the replay value. With that said, I like Dark Souls because it showed me that sometimes the developer can man up, own their game, and put in content that's good enough that it doesn't need a huge community or a huge following to make it good. And that's something I'm going to try to remember in gaming forever. As I think games are moving more and more towards multiplayer stuff, it's sort of endlessly, and that's fine, that seems natural to me, particularly as the internet becomes more available, and internet speeds increase, and technology improves, etc., etc. But my point is, some games are good enough that you don't need to have a big online component. Single-player games are not dead, and are still fun. Recently I bought Prototype 2 just on a whim, hoping that, it was a single-player oriented game, and I was hoping, like, maybe there's another game like that. Didn't dislike Prototype 2, but it's definitely not going to be one of my... It's going to be like a put 10 hours into it and wish it was cheaper kind of game. But I don't regret buying it. It was a good game. Not interested in giving a Prototype 2 review because A, I am awful at sandbox games. B, I don't like sandbox games. Number 3 in terms of influential video games would probably be just the Call of Duty series. The whole series just seems like one game to me at this point, of varying qualities depending on their age and how the community has developed, but I definitely feel as though, sort of despite myself, that Call of Duty's impacted me as a gamer a lot. It showed me that I could be a good player in a competitive game like that, and this is going to probably bring about a conversation about, Call of Duty's not competitive. Probably not. But what I mean is, it is a game where there's a lot of people playing, and you can rank your skill against other players with some degree of merit. There's a lot of factors you probably don't control for, but you don't need to. This isn't a research experiment, it's how you feel you perform at Call of Duty. And, maintaining a 2.05 KDR on Call of Duty while using a variety of weapons and not playing with a pub-stomping team, that made me feel like I was probably better than about 90% of the community. And, my goal was never to be better than the rest of the community. It just showed me that if I applied myself, I could be pretty good at video games. Not to say like professional MLG good, but I just, I can be pretty competent in video games. I can be that guy on the team that really helps clutch the match. And that's good to know. I think Black Ops was probably the first game that was largely online based that I really tried to get good at. One time I was trying to get good at StarCraft, the original StarCraft, and now that game was too competitive for me. And I just kind of suck at RTS on the whole, for sure. Not an RTS guy. Tried to be, did not succeed. But Call of Duty is a game where I realized I could succeed, where others have failed. And that was good. It was never about competing with the community so much as, in Call of Duty, all the gameplay is provided directly by the community because the single player is short and generally unfulfilling. So it's all about the multiplayer. So, being able to beat up on other players on Call of Duty is pretty much equivalent to being able to down bosses in this game without breaking a sweat. So that's something I've achieved on both Call of Duty and Dark Souls. I've sort of had my rite of passage on both, I think, and that's great. So now 17 and a half minutes in, I guess the next thing I want to talk about is where we're going to go with this channel. Because this is something I like to do every couple videos and sometimes more frequently than others. But let it be known that I will still be uploading commentaries. Every time I take a couple weeks off from uploading, I get a lot of comments like, are you done, or where's the next video? And as always, other things in life just come first. I've been working like 50 to 60 hours a week. I'm pretty much blasted and tapped out, so sometimes I just can't find the time, and that's how it is. This is all things I've said before, but since I still get those kind of questions, I'm rehashing it. But at the same time, definitely going to keep commentating. It's not going away. I enjoy it. It's just I think that I don't want to get caught in that trap where you're just commentating to commentate. I think that's what kills a lot of good channels. Because a good way to grow a channel is to put out a gameplay every day because it gets it refreshed on the sub box. It keeps people interested. It keeps your content new. That's great. And, you know, I agree that's a great way to grow a channel. But my goal isn't really to grow a huge channel. It's to have a good quality channel. And I know the only way I can maintain my quality is to only commentate and upload when I'm feeling it. And I don't have the kind of personality that wants to upload daily. I'd probably want to upload a lot more if I was doing less. But since I'm not, I need to commentate within my means. You know, anything you need to do, everything I do, I try to balance. You know, I'm a big guy on balance in your life. You know, I've been trying to correct imbalances in my life since day one. Not terrible imbalances, just little things I'm trying to work on, and I know that playing too many video games is definitely an imbalance in my life. It's definitely gotten better in grad school because I just downright don't have the time for it to be an imbalance, and I think that's good for me. Now I think I'm actually at the point where I need to make more personal time just to enjoy myself, and playing games is how I enjoy myself. So, you know, still a lot of self-discovery going on for everybody. I think when you stop rediscovering and reevaluating yourself, I think that's sort of a precursor to death in a way, is where you stop trying to grow who you are, grow your knowledge, grow your outlook. That's a terrible choice. I think that people need to continually reevaluate everything they do, you know, and be intentional in what they do. You know, I think if I wanted to describe 3 things about myself I wanted to be, it would be intentional, transparent, and and sarcastic. I like to be as sarcastic as possible because everyone loves sarcasm, right? I mean, it's not like it pisses anyone off. Oh wait a minute. No. Regardless, bad joke is bad. Huge fan of sarcasm, definitely. But with that said, still going to be commentating. Definitely have to take the channel in new directions, though. As much as the fan base of this channel loves Dark Souls, as much as I love Dark Souls, come on, guys. There's a lot of games out there. I can't just upload Dark Souls for the rest of my days. I mean, I'm definitely got a lot more Dark Souls stuff coming, but can't just stop there. All commentators that continue to operate a channel eventually move on to other games. And this game will be no different. It's not getting a whole lot of content. The PC version's coming out. That'll probably spark a huge revival in uploads. Pretty excited for it. But until then, I'll finish up this Let's Play and maybe do a couple other PvPs on the side during the summer, but probably a lot of PvPs in the summer. But there's going to be some other games coming up here, and hopefully you guys will like that stuff. Hopefully you're not just here for the Dark Souls gameplay, but maybe for the commentary. At least I hope. I mean, I've never claimed to be an all-pro gamer. I've never claimed to be the best Dark Souls player out there, the best PvPer, the best Black Ops player, etc. I just like to commentate. I really do. And I hope that people will keep coming around when there's other stuff on this channel that's not just all Dark Souls all the time. I hope that you'll find the content I bring from other games rewarding. I haven't exactly decided what the next big game's going to be. I've got a lot of games reserved. I was maybe thinking of doing some prototype stuff until I played prototype and realized there's really nothing I want to commentate on it, so that was out. I really don't want to do like a RPG playthrough because that'd be a really long rant session for a long, long time. I definitely want something where I can at least talk about the gameplay a little bit. So that's... Man, did you see Mildred's fire defense? I remember doing this. I was like, man, Mildred has a ton of fire defense. That's awesome. No wonder she's so useful in the Quelaag fight. But anyway, we'll see what the next game is. It might actually be a shooter. I know a lot of people watching the channel aren't really into shooters anymore, but I still like shooters, so I feel I miss them. So there's probably going to be some shooter gameplay coming up. Maybe some Far Cry 3. I'm kind of feeling some Far Cry 3. If not Far Cry 3, then maybe some Defense of the Ancients 2, little PC uploads. We'll see what happens, but definitely new games coming to the channel. Right now up for consideration is Far Cry 3, Defense of the Ancients 2, and I don't know, definitely that, like a new action RPG, Dragon's Dogma maybe, which I have on reserve. Maybe that will be my next big game to commentate. I don't know, those are just some ideas, so definitely if you want to put in the comments what you think you'd like to see next on the channel, please share. I would like to hear some input, but maybe limit your selection to what I've recommended because I've already spent a lot of gameplays just asking for general advice. Let's just narrow it down a little bit. Alright guys, thanks for watching. That's the end of this gameplay installment. I appreciate everyone's time, and I hope to see you next time. As always, everyone take care.